Hey y'all, I'm Courtney.
And I'm Sara.
And this is Bodice Tipplers,
the podcast where we read all the books we used to steal off our grandmother's nightstands.
and then we drink about it.
On this episode, we discuss Danielle Steele's A Message from Nam. So there's nothing sexually gross here, but it is a war book. It is specifically not a Vietnam War book, but an Americans of Vietnam War book. So expect it to be racist in that particular way, that it's careful not to use like racial slurs by people we like, but that there is only one named Vietnamese character and she dies horribly. It also has nice white lady racism, which you might not be expecting from this book, as in there's a fucking mammy.
This book was written by a Karen. This book is written by a fucking Karen, and I hated it. That's my trigger warning, is I hate this book, so get ready for a fucking wild ride as I talk about nice white ladies trying to solve the fucking Vietnam War, and racism in the South, and white-splaining the civil rights movement to people of color.
This is the white moderate that Dr. King warned you about.
I fucking hate this book. God.
So, on that note, hey y'all!
Hello!
How are ya?
I am good. Like, I'm glad that this book is over. And I just, you know what? Like, I'm really proud of my restraint because I wanted to throw it in the fucking fire because it's cold here a couple times. Like, I was like, kindling, bam, let's get rid of this.
And
but I didn't.
It is hefty too, so it would have burned.
I know, it would have burned, but you know what? Like, I feel like if it had burned, it would have just been like a blonde woman, like, coming out of, like, it would have been
white
like
tears. It would have been white tears.
Like a Harry Potter when they have the little, like, you know.
Your anti-Patronus?
No, the heart. You know when they could talk through the heart, whatever the fuck that's called.
I'm like, this is like the opposite of your Patronus.
Somebody's gonna talk, like, somebody's gonna be like, that's called the blah, blah, blah. I don't really care. Like, you know when, like...
Flu powder? No, that's when you go
when
somewhere.
Sirius, like, talk to them in the hearth.
Oh, you are gonna add us.
Flu calls, right?
No, the flu powder's how you travel.
I don't care. Anyway, I feel like what would have happened is just some blonde woman would have come and explained business to me. Yes. You know, like, I hate this book. Anyway, I am doing well. So what have you been reading?
I'll tell you that after we talk about...
yes.
Yeah, we have some really freaking exciting stuff.
You are all fucking amazing. We are kicking ass on Patreon. We have met our first, like, several funding goals.
Yeah, you guys are so great.
Later on, we will be recording playing a Babysitter Club game. Mm-hmm. That's the one we chose. And then we also have to pick a Sweet Valley High book. And we'll put up a poll about the Sweet Valley High books. You know, if we want to do the first one or the one with murder. There's the murder one.
Ooh. See, I only read one or two of those as a kid. I did not realize
I hated Jessica Wakefield so much, but we're going to do it for y'all. And... just kicking ass. Like, we're at like $47 a month. I mean, that's amazing.
Well, and the cool thing is that without requiring you to do anything, we drop some cool members-only specials on you that if you are a Patreon member and you have not enjoyed these, I recommend that you do so. We're calling it Oral Sex.
Oral Sex. Let's talk about, or let's listen to Oral Sex. So we're getting some of our podcast favorites, some of our podcast boyfriends, as I like to call them. And girlfriends who are generously donating their vocal talents to read some of the racier scenes in books that we have read.
Just the dirty parts.
Just the dirty parts. And the best part is we're giving them no context. So our first one was Cooking with Grief, which is an amazing podcast. You should look for them, Cooking with Grief, on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts. It's a comedy podcast. And Chris and Chris, read from the Ivory Key, and they had no idea that it was about ghost fucking.
No, it's
no
great.
Clue.
It's amazing.
Our next one was Henry from the Firestarters podcast, and that podcast is where they break down all of the references in Billy Joel's We Didn't Start the Fire. So Firestarters podcast, wherever you look for podcasts. Henry gives his vocal talents to Sandra Kitts, Adam and Eva, and it almost killed Sara.
He does voices, and we can't tell them more than that because you really
like,
have to find out for yourself.
What's interesting is like 40% of it, like you're getting into. You're like, all right, this, like, because he's got this like charming, like Irish accent, and then all of a sudden these insane voices happen. It's amazing. And so we have some other really great ones lined up for you. So again, y'all, $1 a month. Like, that's less than 2, milkshake drinks at Starbucks. So.
And where can you do that? Or if you've already given, where can you go look at your...
It's patreon.com/bodicetipplers.
That's right.
Or you can also find it on our website, bodicetipplers.com. Look for the big-ass Patreon. And I'm always, like, pouring us out on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So,
but we do actually give you something for your money now.
Yes, we do.
Because these are funny.
We've also kind of played with our levels a little bit, so it's cheaper for you to show us love.
Yeah, and you get more stickers.
More stickers, so many stickers. So that's what's going on kind of with our Patreon. We're kind of gangbusters on the Patreon.
Yeah, I know. I'm so proud of you guys. Yay. You actually like us.
Thank you for liking us.
So what are we drinking?
We are drinking, we're drinking Smoking Loon because...
It's a Vietnam War, everybody smokes, right?
I don't know. this book almost made me start smoking again. Like, that's how much I hated it.
I'm so disappointed in you.
Yeah.
Like,
well, almost. I didn't. You know, I might go find some of these, like, Shanghai Cools or whatever the fuck they're smoking in this.
Rosies or something? They say what they are.
Emerald Gems or something.
Well, I got Menage a Trois because this is our first book where there's 3 dudes. We've had 2 dudes before, but we've never had 3
We have never had 3 dudes.
And the thing that you should be aware of in this book is that Paxton, that's her name, Paxton, everybody she touches, everybody she comes into contact with, certainly everybody who lusts after her long golden legs, fucking dies in Vietnam.
This book is like the worst. Oh, God. Anyway. So
just FYI, that's what's going on in that book. Do you have the corkscrew? Let's open up some of this shit.
Well, we have the Smoking Loon open.
We do? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. We can do that.
All right. So what are you reading?
Well, it's kind of funny. I didn't do it on purpose. I'm not like doing like a Vietnam thing.
You're just on a like Vietnam tour.
I'm not. Because I will tell you when I am. Like for a while there, I was into only adaptations of Tam Lin, and it got real weird. So it's not like that.
That's a very Sara thing.
I know, it's a very Sara thing. And for a while there, I did westerns because of Red Dead Redemption 2, and it was insane. But no, so I'm 40. This is a 4 for 40.
4 for 40.
And being that age, we never made it that far in any history class I ever took because I keep making history, and we always run out of time.
Yeah.
Like right around Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
So, I feel that I don't know nearly as much as I need to about the Vietnam War, so I always need something to knit to. So I've been knitting to the Ken Burns Vietnam War thing. I know, it's weird.
No, that's cool.
And so, coincidentally, I had put on hold ages ago because I have like this enormous hold list at the library. It's staggered. It comes in at all kinds of crazy times. It's still way too many books, and I have to like send a whole bunch back. But this book called Sorrow of War by Bao Ninh, and it's he was an NVA soldier who's written this book, which was banned in Vietnam for years. It's quite, I've only halfway through, but it's really good so far. I only realized last night watching the last episode of the Ken Burns thing that the dude in the Ken Burns Vietnam thing, there's a guy and he's got this amazing like frosted like rockabilly hair thing going, but he's an NVA veteran. That's him! Like, that he's the author.
Oh, okay.
So that's what's going on in my reading world right now.
Well, I'm not reading anything because I have been sucked into nonsense. And y'all, I don't know if I'm ever going to escape it. I feel like I've not been sucked into anything like this since Battlestar Galactica. And you assholes all know what I'm talking about. Like, when Battlestar Galactica got put on Netflix, like, it was all you watched for, like, 2 weeks straight, and you stayed up all hours. So, I don't even know how,
And you hate space.
I do hate space. I mean, I love the shit that Rosalind was just like, ba-bam! Airlocking people. Like, that's my favorite move.
You get sucked into it, right?
If I was going to be a space dictator...
Oh, airlocks all the time.
Oh my god, airlock all fucking day long. So, I don't even know how I got into this. And, like, here's the thing. I don't need anybody explaining shit to me. Like, I have watched some Korean dramas, like, where the guy is really terrible to the fucking girl, and, like, I just get annoyed at it. And so, I was just, like, on my Netflix, I was like, hey, Courtney. Hey, girl. Hey, you should watch this. This dumb shit thing called Tennis Prince. And I was like, okay, why not? This is some weird Chinese thing. And now I'm staying up till 5 a.m. watching this thing. It's got 40 fucking episodes. And I'm like, I started this week. And I am like, I've got like 6 more episodes and I can't fucking stop. And all it is just like really cute Chinese dudes playing tennis, loving each other. And it's like I'm obsessed. And Jen, who is one of our Patreons and also on Twitter, she's like, yeah, you're watching the gateway to like sports and manga. And I'm like, oh God. So I feel like this could be a very niche thing for me. Like, and I will tell you, when I was 12 years old, 11, 12 years old and a fucking dork, like, with my mom haircut and my mom jeans and my Tevas with socks. The things that, like, got me through shit that I loved the most were Shag the Movie, Newsies, and Sister Act 2. Those 3 things. If I had had this at my disposal, I don't know what kind of person I would be.
See, you obviously did not go through the college phase that me and many of my friends went to, where we got really into very obscure anime fan subs that had large yaoi fanfic followings.
No, basically, like, you went to an all-girl school, and I was just, like we have talked about on this podcast many times, like, I was basically flashing my boobs and making out with people.
What you didn't know is that you could be doing that and also enjoying, like, deep into canon Weizkreuz. Oh my god, dude. I don't even want to talk about
Were you also, like, flashing people and making out? We never talked about your flashing days. Like,
no, I didn't have any flashing days.
I was kind of like, do you remember Kitty from the Arrested Development, where she's like, say hello to these? Like, it was kind of that situation.
Honestly, until I gained, like, a lot more weight in my 30s, there really wasn't a lot to flash.
Yeah, no. But,
yeah, like, what's that boy doing taking her shirt off?
If this had been accessible to me, I would have become one of those people that, like, if the internet and shit had been accessible to, like, 12-year-old Courtney, all of my muscles would have atrophied, and I would have just been this pale lizard thing.
Check.
That, like, lived in the basement.
Yes.
Like,
you would have owned a wall scroll? That's what you're saying?
I don't know what that is.
Okay, well, you would. You would know that.
But, like, I am super invested in this dumb shit. Like, that's what I'm really, like... I don't want to talk about this book. I want to talk about the golden partners that obviously want to fuck each other, and they cannot, and they're separated, and I need them to get back together, Sarah. I need the little one and the big one that's soft for the little one to get back together. Like, I'm like, oh my god, can we just get through this so I can go back and watch and see what happened? Like, the captain and the genius guy and his arm's broken, what the fuck? So, that's where I am. That's the headspace that
I completely understand that headspace. I mean, I have not been in that headspace for a long time.
Oh my god.
There was a time with Gundam Wing, I gotta tell you. Trey's and Zach's, girl. It was, I know you don't know what I'm talking about.
It's like,
but you would.
It was like foreign language.
They were hot.
So yeah, this is I feel like with the sports thing, I kind of love it more because it's just, I love an athletic dude that just loves another athletic dude. Like, like, at 40, I have finally found it. Like,
well, I'm glad you finally found
it. Sensitive sports bros loving each other is basically how you could defeat me. Like, if we were in, like, some kind of, like, real world risk situation, you just be like, I'm just gonna throw some tennis boys at her and she'll watch their drama unfold.
Oh, like the kind of, like, wizard fight where you shape change into things? Like that?
Well, the best part, too, is, like, they all have tennis moves. And,
yeah,
like,
of course they do.
One's got one, like, the beefy one. There's a beefy one who wears a bandana. He's got a move called the boomerang snake. The boomerang snake. And then the genius guy's got one called, like, growling bear and soaring eagle. And then he's got a secret one. I was like, this is the gayest thing, and I love it so much. So...
yeah,
that's my headspace.
No, I completely get it.
That's my fucking headspace.
I would start watching it knitting, but it's really hard to knit with subtitles.
No, it is true.
Yeah, you gotta. So. Yeah, I mean, unless it's like TV knitting, and I've been like doing hard ass cables lately.
I don't.
So.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I know.
I don't know if that
it's
means
okay.
either.
You don't have to know. So the reason why we read this book,
Sarah,
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
This was the first Danielle Steele book I ever read. I actually did get it off my Aunt Laverne's bookshelf because I ran out of books. And we talked about this in a previous podcast. And this is the one that I got. I'm not sure if it was my first romance because I think I had read like Victoria Holt, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
My first romance.
Dude, I get it because I think, again, in ways to make ourselves feel fucking old, one of my nieces, she just turned 17, went through this period where she was obsessed. Just hang with me for a second. She was obsessed with 9/11 because for her, like, that was the thing that, like,
it was weird and adult and tragic and
so, like, you know,
like the Vietnam War was
the end of the Vietnam War. Like, for me, like, you know, for you, it ended 6 years before you were born. 5 years. For me, it ended like 4 years before I was born. So it's like, we're really close to it.
And when we grew up, there was a national obsession with films that were, quite frankly, like this book, nowhere near as complex as they needed to be, and had this extremely American viewpoint. What really impressed me, honestly, about the Ken Burns thing is that one of the first voices you hear is a Vietnamese voice, which we never got.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like Barry Pepper made his money like being dirty and crying in slow motion and like Vietnam movies, like, and again, I will watch Barry Pepper cry all day long because that motherfucker can cry.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, I get it. Okay, I didn't mean to interrupt, but yeah, no, I feel this fine. Weird obsession because remember we always had like 60s Day, like Spirit Week, and like people would have their dads like flak jackets and like the combat boots.
Because we were young enough that Vietnam vets were not old.
No, they were.
Now it's weird to me because like in my brain they are the same age as they were when we were kids, and they are not. They're old now.
Yeah, like.
But yeah, to me they're like younger than my dad.
Yeah, like they were my dad's age. Like,
and the 60s were cool, except that like your parents, like depending on the age they were, I had old parents.
What's wild is my dad got like pulled up for the draft board. We'll talk about in this, and like he went and the guy that was working knew him and put him in the National Guard.
That's not an uncommon story.
Yeah, but like, you know, like, I mean, it's kind of crazy to think
it's
about.
that kind of randomness and that kind of like good old boy network and that kind of thing was.
But like,
very
I mean, like, you know,
us.
when we go over, like, whenever we go to DC, like, my dad's got like guys that he were in college with, like, that were his best friends that died over there. So it's like this very, very real. Yeah. Like, we're like
there's a 10,000 Maniacs song about it that was on the same, like, you know, one is like Hateful Hate and Eat for Two. Yeah.
Like, you know, Alice in Chains Rooster is about Jerry Cantrell's dad.
So we were still in Vietnam was like close to us at the time, but yet also highly mythologized at the same time. I mean, my parents were actually too old. My parents, my dad did not think much of Dirty Hippies. My dad never forgave Jane Fonda.
Oh my god! My dad has still never forgotten.
Do not say. I mean, he's dead.
My dad is always like, my dad with his deep Tennessee accent is always like, Hanoi Jane.
Hanoi Jane. So. I can feel like my dad, like right now, there's a rotisserie in the ground because I said Jane Fonda and didn't spit and call her Hanoi Jane. Like of the generation that was, I guess, the silent majority that Nixon used to talk about. And so it's a very strange thing for people our age. And I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe 9/11 is a good parallel. But so to me, this seemed like a very adult book. And the funny thing about war stuff is that the books are always light years ahead of the movies in terms of complexity and interest. Like, you know.
I don't know. I mean, again, I found this.
This book.
I read this book when I was, you read this book when you were 13, but this book is...
No, this book is like a movie. This book is like a Vietnam movie in that it's like, it's about Americans in Vietnam. It's not about Vietnamese people. I don't know.
Like, there's movies like
it's not subtle. It thinks it's being like real woke and subtle is the thing that's annoying about it.
But...
If it would just like drop the racial slurs all the time, then it wouldn't be as offensive.
There's still fucking movies that like handle this shit better and like basically talk about, I mean, like Platoon is fucking... like, basically about somebody, like, because you're left to your own fucking devices going crazy. Like, you know, it's not, like, saying everybody was perfect and shit.
But it's still not as, like, I think that, like, the more, like, The Things I Carried, for example, is a really good, like, argument that there's usually a long time before you can make a movie that's truly complex and about everything about a war, you can write a book about it.
Yeah.
I've met Tim O'Brien. I have not met Danielle Steele. So
here's the thing about it, like, for those of you who know me, I hate the movie Forrest Gump.
I loved it back in the day, but now I'm an adult. I realize, like, that's terrible. Oh, my God.
Jenny's a piece of shit. For as much as I hate Forrest Gump, if you were to be like, Courtney, you have to choose reading this book again or watching Forrest Gump, I'm going to watch Forrest Gump. Because for as racist and terrible as Forrest Gump is, this is worse.
It's similar in that, like, she just happens to be there for everything.
I hate it. Okay, all right.
Let's read read the back cover and tell people what the fuck it's about.
Okay, so Danielle Steele's Message from Nam came out in 1990. This is her, I think, 25th book, and it got roasted on like Publishers Weekly and stuff like that.
This may be her attempt to do a more serious book.
Yeah, it was. It was like okay. All right, so Message from Nam. As a journalist, Paxton Andrews would experience Vietnam firsthand. We follow her from Savannah to Berkeley and then to Saigon. For the soldiers she knew and met there, Vietnam would change their lives in ways they could never have imagined. Peter Wilson, fresh from law school, was a new recruit who could would confront his fate in Da Nang. Ralph Johnson, a seasoned AP correspondent, had been in Saigon since the beginning. He knew Vietnam and the war inside out. Bill Quinn, captain of the Cu Chi Tunnel Rats, was on his 4th tour of duty, and it seemed nothing could touch him. Sergeant Tony Campobello had come to Vietnam from the streets of New York to vent a rage that had turned him into a formidable fighting machine. For 7 years, Paxton Andrews would write an acclaimed newspaper column from the front before finally returning to the States and then attending the Paris peace talks. But for her and the men who fought in Vietnam, life would never be the same again.
That's a terrible, although accurate. Although it actually takes halfway through the book before anybody gets to Vietnam. Okay, so what happens in this fucking book?
Oh, Jesus.
So Paxi is from Savannah. And you learn immediately in this book that Paxi has, and I did not remember this. I remember like the kind of soft, like well-intentioned racism of the Vietnam parts. I did not remember just the old-fashioned racism of Queenie. Queenie loved Paxton more than her own babies. Oh, that's so sweet. Queenie's mother brought her in.
Well, we need to describe Queenie is as is put in the book. Queenie is basically the most treasured thing in the South, which is a fucking black wet nurse. Mm-hmm. They call her a fat black mammy.
Huge purring black baby nurse is the quote. And the thing is, like, the whole point of Queenie is to prove that Paxton's one of the good ones.
I hate this. Basically, what Danielle Steele did was she had one too many glasses of wine, like the night before she decided to do this, watched Gone with the Wind, saw Hattie McDaniel, and said, hey, I'm going to take this, but I'm not going to make you a real fucking person, and I am going to create an Aunt Jemima fucking mammy character.
And if it would be one thing, if she set it up that Paxton thinks that, of course, Queenie loves her more than she loves her own babies, but then we find out that Queenie's like, Paxton's all right. I feel sorry for her because her mama is a piece of work, but I'm going to go home when my shift is over. No. No, you don't get that. You get...
The fact that Danielle Steele just called her a mammy.
Yeah.
Like in the stereotypes, she can't even come up with another name beyond I'll just take the mammy stereotype and I'm going to just call it a mammy. Like... Oh my
Danielle Steele is not a Southerner. I think she was trying to portray Savannah as a stultified, refuses to change backwater, because Paxi is the good one and learns to be so much better than
Paxton actually calls herself basically a good one and later on, and I'm on your side.
And why don't you see that?
It's okay, and we'll delve into it a little bit more, but I do think that it is important to. Again, when I got to this part in the book, I just wanted to throw it in the fire. The fact that this white woman is calling somebody Queenie, calling them a mammy, and then also talking about a black woman's body. Right there, I was just like, everything else that happens is nullified.
Mammy's hugs are like a pillow.
The fact that you're commenting on a black woman's body. I hate it so much. All right, continue.
Yeah, so certainly do not read this book if that's the kind of thing that's going to bother you, because I was not expecting it. Yeah, so FYI, that's in it. But so anyway, Paxi, her dad's dead. He died in a plane crash with his fucking mistress. Yeah. Her brother's much older and a piece of shit. Her mother is one of those frigid Southern pieces of shit ladies who's really into the junior league and wants her to go to Sweetbriar. By the way, there are some lovely ladies who go to Sweetbriar. And if she's not going to go to Sweetbriar, she suggests that she go to Agnes Scott.
Yeah, the book opens on the day of John F. Kennedy's assassination, letting us fucking know that we're in the 60s. And
you can hear their soundtrack, and their soundtrack is the most obvious soundtrack. This book does not do deep cuts, okay? This book is going to have Fortunate Son when we get to Vietnam. It's going to have Buffalo Springfield. Yeah. It's going to have... Surprisingly, she didn't go to Kent State somehow.
No, she brought it up.
She brought it up.
She brought it up, but she wasn't there.
She was there for everything else, but... so anyway, because she wants to go to Harvard because her dad went to Harvard. Right. Well, to Radcliffe to Harvard. She doesn't get into Harvard. So she decides at the end, fuck it, I'm going to go to Berkeley.
Yeah, it's after talking to Queenie.
You gotta go, you gotta follow your heart, child.
Yeah. Law, child, that
and of course thing. It was dialect. Yes, it was.
Yeah. But Queenie is... God, I hate saying it.
Maybe Queenie just like wants to get this kid out of here so she doesn't have to work so fucking hard.
She still stays at the house, but
she still stays at the house.
But like, it's basically like go where you want to go, like do what you want to do, don't want you to do what your mother wants you to do. So she decides to go to Berkeley. Her father's left her a small trust so she can do what she wants without like fear of like
she
her
can't
mom's
get cut
repercussions.
off. So I mean, of course, that's one of those things that you can afford to be brave if you have a trust fund.
Yeah, exactly.
So she gets to Berkeley, and she's got roommates, and her roommates are interesting. And she's got Gabby, who's like the sweet redhead with a hot brother. Oh boy, y'all, she's got Yvonne.
Okay, so Yvonne is a young African-American woman from Alabama who immediately hates Paxie because Paxie's a white woman from fucking Georgia. And then we have Paxie pull the Karen and explain what civil rights means. And basically...
Isn't that what Dr. King said?
Oh my God, like, you're judging me. This is reverse prejudice. And like, you know, and then she calls her, like, well, why did you leave? And all this shit. Like, just the white privilege in the first 3 chapters of this book. Again, I wanted to throw it in the fucking fire. Like, stop explaining the black experience to black people. Like, as somebody, especially as somebody who works at an HBCU, like, the best thing that you can learn, white ladies, nice white ladies who might be listening, is when to shut the fuck up. Mm-hmm. When to shut the fuck up and listen to people. And this book enraged me because this book is about well-intentioned white woman bullshit. And when we got to Yvonne, that was another part where I just wanted to throw it in the fucking fire.
Why can't you tell I'm one of the good ones?
I'm one of the good ones, is what she said. I'm on your side, and blah, 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 blah. I stand what for Dr. King stands for. And I'm like, bitch, you've never been, like, unless you have to worry about someone killing you because they don't like you, because they don't like how you look, because where you're sitting, because of anything, shut the fuck up. And again, if I had read this book at 11, I'd have been all in it.
Oh, I know.
But, like, as an adult woman, and especially with everything that's going on right now, like, I just fucking hated it. And it made me, honestly, like, this made me like Danielle Steele less as a person.
It did.
Like,
because, well, imagine you put yourself in Yvonne's footsteps, and you came all the way from fucking Alabama. You thought you got out of Alabama. Yeah. And then the first person you fucking meet, you hear, like, hey, y'all, I'm Paxton. Like, oh, fucking shit.
And then, like, Paxton's, like, trying... You know, this book is all about, like, Paxton's white girl magic. And that she's, like, trying to be friends with Yvonne. So she, like... Yvonne wants...
cigarettes and a Coke?
She wanted Coke, but, like, she wanted a Coke, but she also wanted some fucking Cools.
Yeah.
And I was like, are you, like...
Were they out of watermelon?
Yeah, it was like everything about it, you know, like we get described, like we know that Yvonne's beautiful, but it's like Yvonne is beautiful with her afro and just like...
It might even say the word exotic, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, it does. And then like you get every fucking black woman stereotype is in this book, in that, you know, you get the Mamie. You get basically the Jezebel that is Yvonne, because she like goes off with her boyfriend, and like they also call her the angry black woman. And I think what also enrages me,
to be fair, everybody does go off with a different boyfriend, so she's not the only one who is having sex before marriage.
What enrages me about this a little bit, and this is already like, I'm sorry to tangent.
No, go ahead.
On Twitter, there was a feed about this insane book series. Insane. Written by this white woman, and the book is called, like, it's a book series, and, like, this one was called, like, Taming His Cajun Temptress, or something like Creole Temptress, and it's part of this book series that is called, it takes place in Louisiana, and it's called Katrina's Aftermath, and that's the name of a fucking restaurant.
What?
And so, like, I feel like I read this book at just the time where I'm seeing people's, like, you know, again, as a white lady, I have my bubble, and I'm very aware of my bubble, where I'm seeing people of, like, women of color that I admire and, like, and have relationships on Twitter, like, be real world hurt by this fucking nonsense. Yeah. And so, like, to see Danielle Steele's rich, white, blonde ass trying to tackle color just pisses me right the fuck off. And so, like, that, like, I was
if she would have ignored it, it would have also pissed me off in a way less, like,
I think, like, I would have been less infuriated if it wasn't...
If you just pretended like the civil rights movement didn't happen.
The magic of Paxton, and Paxton's, like... You know, here's the thing. Like, Paxton never said, you know what, Yvonne, you're right. I I don't know what you've been through. Why don't you tell me a little bit about it? Like, I would have liked this character so much more. But, like, Paxton never comes from it. It's always like, I'm on your side. I'm one of the good ones. Let me explain to you what Martin Luther King is talking about.
And it acts like it actually she scored a point with that. Like, oh, burn.
Yeah. Like,
oh my God.
So,
fucking Paxton.
All right. I will now, like, keep my...
Well... Happily, at this point, once Yvonne goes off with her football player boyfriend,
she's out.
The book completely forgets race for the rest of the book as it applies to black and white. So thank fucking God.
I know, I was like so glad that was done.
Yep, done. Because like Paxton forgets about it, and so then the book forgets about it.
Thank God.
So the important thing that happens at Berkeley really is Paxton gets her eyes open to the peace movement, but also she meets Gabby's brother Peter, who's a blonde man. So he's very. He's very exfoliated. He's like a plant that needs more sun.
We know how you feel about a blonde man.
Yeah, well, I was writing this damn book, wasn't I? All those blonde dudes are boring.
Don't bet on a blonde man.
So anyway, it's love. They're young, but they take it slow. But they do all move into a house together where they fuck, and they want to get married, but they want to wait until Paxton's done with school. Right. Meanwhile, the war is heating up, and of course Peter is he's in his last year at Berkeley when they meet, and then he's in law school. So he is exempt from the draft because America loves nothing more than a rich man's war and a poor man's fight.
Yeah.
But he will be turning 26 like a couple months after he gets out of law school. Yep. But they're not going to possibly draft him then, right?
Right. No. Right. They're never going to take anybody so old that is 24.
Yeah. He's like 25 and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Which now seems to be like a precious unborn fawn because we are so very elderly. So...
Dude, another tangent. I was at kickboxing the other day. And this girl that I was working out with, it was her birthday. And she's like, you gotta take it easy on me, I'm getting old. And she's like, I'm almost 30. And then I punched her in the face.
Good for you.
Really.
No, I hope that you did.
Like, I was just like, this baby bitch.
You better take it easy on my fist. My 40-year-old fist.
I was like, this baby bitch. She's talking about almost being 30.
Well, that's
almost
a compliment.
just slammed her down.
You know what that means, though? That means that she looked at your old-ass face and did not think it was as old-ass as it is.
Maybe like the face mask.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a snail. I do, I do a lot of snail creams.
So, of course you do snail creams.
Well, what?
Anyway.
My skin looks good, girl.
All right, let's go there.
I just got the 2 wrinkles right between my eyebrows. They're like, what the fuck is that shit?
Like my plan is to get the furrow.
No, mine are vertical because I got them from being a librarian for so long and having that what the shit look on my face.
Yeah. All right.
So but they're not going to get married because even though she knows he's about to get vulnerable to the draft, at this point I don't think they gave a rat's ass if he were married or not. Frankly.
No, they didn't give a shit. They just needed people to go over there.
And they needed fresh bodies. So he does get drafted, and she feels guilty because she thinks, well, we should have got married. We should have got married. They didn't care, but should he go to Canada? Should he not? I mean, they're committed. They're gonna spend their lives together. Like Gabby's like her sister. Yeah. But he goes, and he does not last a fucking week, y'all. No, 5 days into Dang. Bam.
He goes
bam. Friendly fire.
And just fucking dies.
Yeah. Boo-hoo. No more Peter. I'm sorry. People dying in Vietnam is very tragic. It's just that Peter, there's not a lot of Peter to miss. I'm sorry.
So
he's a blonde man.
I know how you feel about blonde.
I know. See. So, of course, she's devastated. We should mention she wants to be a journalist, and Peter's dad runs one of the big San Francisco papers. It's a fake one. So, it's not like they're...
So, Peter dies, and then, a couple months later, RFK gets assassinated, and, she just loses the plot and decides to, drop out of Berkeley, less than, a month from graduating.
She does not even have a semester left. But then,
And then she uses her white lady privilege to decide that she wants to go over to fucking Vietnam.
Yeah, she goes into Peter's dad's office, and he, owns this large paper that has foreign bureaus, and says she wants to be a war correspondent. And he's like, you want to do the fuck what? And she's like, I want to be a war correspondent. And he's like, that's a thing that you learn how to do. And she's like, fuck you, I want to be a war correspondent.
I'm blonde and I'm beautiful. It doesn't fucking matter.
And maybe life really is that easy for blonde, beautiful women.
It could be.
Maybe it is. Maybe this is what I don't get about this book is that it's just that fucking easy.
That could be the fucking lesson. Yeah. Like, be blonde and beautiful, and you can go to Vietnam any fucking time you want.
I mean, there's like white privilege, and then there's like white privilege, and we've just never accessed like that club, like the concierge level. Yeah, white privilege. Because she goes over to Vietnam, knowing nothing about war correspondence.
Knows nothing about war correspondence.
She's been an intern at different papers.
She's interned. She knows nothing about war correspondence. She knows nothing about anything. She knows nothing about life. She knows nothing about, like, she is 22 years old. She has no, like, inkling of, like, any kind of combat training. Nothing. She just rolls up in there. And
she's not joining like an established bureau. Like, I'm assuming now, I don't know. I should have done my research, but like I'm assuming that if you're like the New York Times, it's not just one dude there. Like that they have like literally when I say a foreign bureau, that there's a like a chifforobe. I don't know. Like
I don't know. I feel like
a foreign
it's
bureau.
Yeah,
but no, she rolls up in there and she has no idea what to do. She just starts talking to people.
She just like she comes in like the first time like she falls asleep with her fucking key in the door.
Oh my god, yes.
Like she's just a dumbass. Like she's getting I hate her so much.
But she makes connections, and
she doesn't really make connections. Her tits and her blondness, like, get her. What would take somebody months of like working on, like in 30 minutes,
hiring a fixer and all this, yeah.
Like in 30 minutes, she has met like a seasoned correspondent who's like, "Hey, I'll take you into combat zone. Let's go." And they go, and like she just handles being in war. Like, no fucking
And I mean, there's
deal.
like, we're talking guts on the ground. I mean, like, terrible things happen. Like they did to, these people who are war correspondents.
Again, it was like, Danielle Steele had wine and watched China Beach and was like, I'm gonna make a fucking book of this shit. And, yeah, so she meets this guy, Ralph, who is a seasoned correspondent, and he kind of takes her under his wing and takes her to a couple of places, and she sees some action.
You know, one thing I did like about this, though, a lot. I mean, I did not hate it as much as Courtney did, because it still had a little bit of that halo of my childhood to it. Although, shit, I was not expecting the mammy. But what I thought was interesting about this is that she's never in sexual peril. It doesn't go to that cheap thing where she's afraid she's going to be raped, and she's like, I mean...
Yeah, but at the same time, like, the other thing...
Which also seems unrealistic.
Well, the other thing that annoyed me the fuck about it is, like, the real female war correspondents who did this shit, like, had to deal with a lot of, like, army chauvinism. And, like, a lot of, like, dudes who are like, no, we're using World War II rules. You can't come here. You can't do this. You can't do that. Who would have said, like, no, you got tits. You're not coming in here. None of that shit happens to Paxi.
Hilariously, they call her DD, but it stands for Donut Dolly. Yeah, not as in, like, your tits.
She's all fucking insulted by it, but, like...
Yeah. It would stand for your fucking tits.
Yeah, and, like, it's a fucking insult to the woman who really did this, because, like, her hotness paves the way, and everyone... Like 95% of the people that she meets treat her with the utmost respect and decency, and like just let her roam fucking freely about the place. I was like, you've met military dudes. I know military dudes. Yeah. Like, this bitch is not just roaming around.
I can't actually go and just drop in on my husband at work because he works on a military base. And since Fort Hood, they shut those things down so hard, I cannot get on post.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just so... Oh, anyway. Okay, so she meets Ralph. She goes to a couple things. Like, people get blown up, blah, 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 blah.
I picture your Vietnam movie, like the first big battle scene of your Vietnam movie. That's exactly what you're thinking. Oh my god, you know what?
Like, I feel like fucking Tropic Thunder had more authenticity than this piece of shit. So, like, yeah, she's got, like, the little, like, Mississippi boy, like, she's got his, like, guts in her hands, So she goes with Ralph on one of these excursions to Cu Chi, which is, like, this big, like, where they're, like, blowing out the tunnels, that the Vietnamese are putting in. And that's where the one realistic thing that happens is, like, this, like, sergeant, general, whatever the fuck he was, lieutenant, I don't give a shit.
Like, wow, you live in a military town. You're just like, Sergeant General Campobello.
Whatever. The big guy. The main, like, the Bill.
Oh, Bill.
Captain. Whatever.
Yeah, I think it's
Captain.
So
basically, a grenade gets launched her way, and this hot blonde, like, jumps on her and saves her from the grenade. I'm gonna be horny for the blonde that jumps on me.
Yeah,
that saves
that's
me
true.
for
He is a hornier worthy blonde.
Yeah.
But still, not that. No.
So she meets him. He's married. But, what happens in Vietnam literally stays in Vietnam because you're going to get your ass blown up. So,
because if you look sideways at Paxi, sorry, it's been nice knowing you.
So they start this, torrid little love affair. He's married, has 3 kids. Paxi's 23, don't give a shit.
Although that's probably not ahistoric. That whatever happened in Vietnam got fucking crazy because, you lose your mind in a combat zone.
Do what the fuck you want, but, the thing is, it's what got me about it was literally everyone who met her and was around her unchaperoned for 45 minutes was deeply in love with her.
Yes.
There was never a, hey, let's just fuck it out.
Yeah.
Like Bill's
maybe the French guy. The French guy might have been hey, let's fuck it out.
Bill's I love you so much. I've never loved anyone like this. And there's a part in the book, too. Bill is married to Debbie. And, he's, looking at Paxton, and he's like, Paxton wasn't like his wife. His wife nagged at him about...
Yeah, Paxton is 20 fucking 2.
Bill, this motherfucker, re-up 3 times.
Yeah.
And his wife is like, I'm sick of this shit, come the fuck home. And Bill's like, my wife nags at me about the kids and the house and the neighbors. But Paxton, who I've met 45 minutes ago, doesn't do that, so I'm in love with her.
And then there's a bombing in a cafe that they're in because they weren't going to do it. Because, he's married, and you shouldn't fuck a married man. But once you're in a bombing, it's okay. It's you get special dispensation from God, I think.
What the fuck ever. I fucking hate this book so much. This might be Captive Passions. And you know how I feel about
I like Captive Passions.
I know you do. But you know how I felt about Captive Passions. This might be the one. So they fuck it out, and they're immediately wildly in love. And, Bill's got an underling, a lieutenant, Tony Campobello.
Fucking hates her, and yes, Tony. He's the only one who sees through.
Tony's a little...
Maybe she's an elf and is glamour, and then Tony can see through the glamour.
Tony's this little Italian guy from New York, and he's like, you's a fucking bitch, and you're useless, and all you're doing is fucking a guy here. You're not doing anything, and you're distracting him, and she's like...
Yeah, your pussy is distracting him, and an opposing tunnel rat is going to blow his head off.
You're going to get us killed.
Yeah.
And she's like, you don't know me, blah.
Isn't that what Dr. King marched for?
That's what Dr. King marched for, is blonde pussy.
Yeah.
So, inevitably, what happens is Bill gets his fucking head blown off.
Everybody who knows Paxton.
Yeah, so then Tony gives her the business, and, Ralph is all angered on her behalf, and I was like, everything that fucking Tony is the me in this situation.
Yeah.
Because I was like,
bitch!
You dumb bitch. Go home. All you're doing is playing at war. I have to be in war.
Right. Although it's funny he says he has to be in war because all of these people seem to have limitless time off.
Oh my God, they're always on fucking vacation. They're always just in...
They're always back to Saigon.
They're always in Saigon.
Go on dates all the time.
So she goes home for a few months after Bill's death, and she's just listless. She can't...
Oh, Queenie dies.
Oh yeah, Queenie dies. So, Queenie, who is like a mother to Paxton.
More than her own mother, who is an ice queen.
Paxton doesn't go to the funeral because it was the next day, and it was in the Black District.
Yeah, so clearly she wouldn't be welcome.
She'd be not safe.
That means that, her brother said, oh, you shouldn't go because you would make everybody uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah, you're not...
Well, maybe these women at this church know that if their sons even look sideways at Paxton, they're going to get blown the fuck up into Nang.
I hate this book. So...
Which is a reasonable reason not to look directly at the Paxton.
Fucking Paxton. So...
Paxton! Who the fuck was named Paxton
in
whenever the fuck she was born?
Nobody. She's called Paxton, she's called Pax, she's called Paxy, she's got all these fucking nicknames. I hate her.
Paxel.
So, I need a Paxel after reading this book. So, alright, so she's listless, Queenie's died,
And she can't readjust to civilian life.
No.
As if she hasn't been a civilian. But yeah, I get it. War is this enormous adrenaline trap.
I think I misspoke earlier. I feel like... Oh, what fucking... Okay. Again, honestly, this book, I was just, checked out of. I feel like in between Peter's death in Vietnam, I think MLK died. And then I think in between Bill's death in Vietnam, RFK died.
I think you're right.
Okay. So, because that was the 68.
Yeah, 68 was the
Democratic Convention.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So
one of the really bad years of the war.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, like I think while she's home, RFK has died, and she's just
I don't remember the exact time.
She's like covering political things,
and she doesn't care anymore because nothing is like being in a war zone, which is, I mean,
I get it. Fair. I get like being an adrenaline junkie, but like that could have been handled better. So she convinces the owner of the paper, Peter's dad, to let her go back over to Vietnam indefinitely. And so she goes back over, and again immediately because she was there for 6 months.
Yeah.
But now, she's a fucking pro.
Yeah.
It's like she's seasoned. And so she gets back, and one of the first people that she meets is little lieutenant or sergeant, what the fuck ever, I don't care.
I believe he's a lieutenant because Bill was a captain.
Tony Capabello. And he apologizes for how he treated her. Oh, the other thing was that she wanted to make sure that after Bill died, that all of Bill's belongings would be sent back home, including like love letters,
the double-ended dildo.
Yeah, so she
intercepted it.
Yeah, she asked Tony, and Tony was all like, "I really admire you for being."
Well, to be fair, like she actually did go from Saigon to Coochie and could have fucking died doing this, but of course Paxton will never die. Paxton is the angel of death doesn't die. Oh my God. Santa Muerta doesn't die.
So she and Tony strike up a little friendship. They have a nice evening.
They talk about Bill a lot.
Yeah. And, Ralph's still there because Ralph's got France, his lady, who is...
Oh, let's talk about France for a moment.
Let's talk about France.
So I feel that Eurasian is not a term that people use anymore. No. France is half French, half Vietnamese, because of course the French have been in Vietnam for all this time. Now France isn't like the other Vietnamese girls because she's so polished and so beautiful, and she has such nice table manners. And so Paxton makes the specific judgment that France had had born a child to and been, I think, married to, or no, I'm not sure if they were married to a GI, and he died.
Yeah.
So, but she refused to get married to this guy, and then refuses to get married to Ralph because she knows if she goes back to America that people will treat her like shit, and they will call her a gook, and they will call her a dink, which is, and Paxton is like, they would, because they think that she's the same as these prostitutes.
I have another issue with this too. I have so many issues because, I don't know, to me this does a massive disservice to, anyone who is Asian American. I hate this book.
They'll just assume you're regular Asian.
Yeah,
holy shit. And essentially she's saying, well, I mean, I would understand it if they were talking like that.
If they were talking about a real, Vietnamese
an actual Vietnamese sex worker. These desperate, starving women on the streets of Saigon.
I hate this book.
These women who I would think that she would have a little fucking compassion towards, but evidently zero.
No, she doesn't. She's a fucking... see you next Tuesday is what she
because she clearly thinks that there is such a thing as all those slurs. But France isn't that. Yeah. They would mistake her.
France would think, she's too high class. They would know because, again, she knows fucking table manners and shit. So, okay.
And by table manners, I mean she knows which American fork. I don't mean, of course these women, I'm sure, have their own table manners.
They have their own fucking manners. Yeah.
Yeah. We shouldn't have to tell you that, but just in case you thought that I didn't.
Yeah.
God,
so,
yes.
Okay. So... Ralph and France are happy. She's pregnant with his baby. She's got a little boy. They've got this happy family. So Ralph is obviously very happy to see Paxton because everyone loves fucking Paxton. So he's like, hey, let's go out on a mission because that's how you fucking do it. You just casually just day trip it. That's the thing about it is they treated these missions that they went on like they were fucking day trips. And it does
and they these are all the army's taking them around here. They have no local fixers. They have no translators. It
does a disservice to everybody that actually was part of this and had to deal with this and see the horrors that were Vietnam and be a part of Vietnam, for these assholes to just zip in and out it was like us going to fucking Myrtle Beach. You go to Myrtle Beach, you watch somebody's head get blown off, and then you come back the same day.
And then the horrors. What's interesting is that she does now. The other war correspondents are talking about how it's weird that you're getting used to to taking these great pictures of dead kids. but all the horrors that she sees, she never sees any civilian horrors. She never sees any Vietnamese bodies blown up. All she sees
American boys.
In other words, yeah,
these
so she
American
can be upset.
Boys. These American boys. Why are we here? What is the point? Like, I fucking hate this book. That should be the title of whatever.
It's very juvenile. It's like a young person's idea of what a book.
I feel like this is her first book. All right, so
it's her 25th book.
Yeah. All right, so Ralph and her go back to Coochie, and like, there's Tony. Hey, Tony, what's up? This bitch goes wandering off. She just goes wandering the fuck off. She's following the photojournalist.
Yeah, I mean, like, the photographer's with her, so it's not like she just, like, went off to pee somewhere. This is that she did not do anything that she shouldn't have done as a journalist. I don't know.
So she gets basically trapped behind enemy lines for a hot minute. She's with a radio guy. She's with a couple other soldiers, and they're like, okay, we can do one or two things. We can run back, and it's going to be a really long time, or we can run to these, like... This is where I have a problem. Like, she's like, or we can run to this, like, tree line. And she's like, let's run to the tree line. And then she just takes the fuck off.
And why is anybody asking her?
Like, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, she has no combat training.
No.
Like, she has no combat training. And she's just, like, dodging bullets like she's fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger. And, like, of course, they get to the tree line. And the radio man has, like, gotten his back half blown off. But the radio's okay. So she gets on the radio and immediately knows how to operate it, and it's cool under pressure, and like...
And they're calling for a dust-off, and they're telling her to put...
Like, she knows all the fucking terminology. And so, like, she gets rescued, and then Tony gives her the business again, and is like,
yes!
And then so her and Tony are having a shouting match, and Ralph, again, is all indignant on her behalf, and... They get back to Saigon, and then a day later, there's fucking Tony, because he can just leave the front lines whenever the fuck he wants.
What's really funny is that, well, not funny at all, but in that Sorrow of War book I'm reading, the main character, he spent a lot of time as, like, in the NVA outside of Coochie, like, attacking Coochie, and I was like, let him be the guy. Yes. Let him be the guy who fragged Bill. Oh, I guess it's not fragging if it's, like, not your officer, but let this man have eaten Bill's heart, because, you know what? Fuck Bill.
Fuck Bill. So her and Tony finally
bang it out.
They finally bang it out. Tony's hot. Like, and again,
I'm
partial because
you don't see a lot of short dudes in romances.
I married a not tall New York Italian boy whose coloring is like an Italian, I married an Irish boy, but his coloring is like an Italian guy. Like, he's got that black Irish, like, he is tan. He is dark. You would think, if it wasn't for his big wally head, that he is Italian, but he is Irish. So, that's my jam.
It's a sewer rat turned tunnel rat, is what you're saying?
That's what I married, is I love a mouthy New Yorker. And so, I was happy that all these boring blondes died, and, like, the little twitchy, like, high-strung New York guy gets, like...
He's very interested in produce.
He is very interested in produce. And
I bet he loves a bean.
My husband used to work at a produce stand.
Oh. Like, I see where this is going.
Yeah,
I see it.
I see a lot of Christopher and Tony.
But she and Tony take up, and Tony evidently has all the time in the world to go on these dates and stuff. He's always in fucking Saigon.
Dates. Like, it's like 13 months goes by like this. Like...
And then, boom... He's not dead, but they all tell her he's dead for sure. He's MIA.
He's MIA.
He's MIA. That's all they know.
And
which means he's probably dead.
In the meantime, like, she has found out that he had been married, that he and his wife had a little girl, that they lost to leukemia. He's got a little boy, Joey.
I mean, like, they had talked about this. It was not a surprise. Yeah.
So
and she fucked on him with his brother.
The wife, not
Paxton. Although I wouldn't be surprised if Paxton did. Except all these people would be dead. The wife got divorced with him to marry his brother, and so therefore their son, Tony hasn't seen the son since then because
they write letters occasionally.
Yeah, it'd be confusing and all that, and of course Paxton thinks it's like sad because remember Paxton's dad died. Oh, yeah, I know. I'm trying to, care about Paxton's internality.
I don't even care. Okay, so anyway.
Whatever.
So Tony goes, he goes MIA, and, she hangs out for a little bit. Ralph dies.
Oh, this is upsetting.
So
Ralph dies, and they go to tell France.
This to me is like the most realistic part of it, though.
Yeah,
like,
but
it doesn't bother me as much as it does you.
It really bothered me a lot because, okay,
again, I have a different, like,
But, okay, so
space.
bothered, when I say bothered,
Yeah,
I mean that
saying.
I found it realistic and also incredibly tragic because I know that this did happen a lot. But remember, this is our only named Vietnamese person in this entire book, and she barely has a speaking part. So she finds out that Ralph died before Paxton and whoever get there.
Oh, that's right. Like, we have to backtrack.
Oh, they had the baby and all.
So Ralph is away. France is having Ralph's baby, and like Paxton is panicking, and Tony basically delivers the baby.
Yeah, so they're close to her in this way.
And they name the baby Pax. Like, that's the name of the baby.
Because of peace and also,
yeah.
So, and then, like, Ralph goes missing, and they're, like, back and forth running between, like, the foreign bureau and everything. They don't go and tell France in person until a little too fucking late because they get there and they had to knock down the door, and she has taken poison with the 2 children.
Yeah, she's dressed everybody up, and she's like taking poison and wrote a note about how she's like to be with him
because she can't go anywhere else. She knows what it will be like for her, and this is absolutely true. That of course there were all these children of American service members left to starve in the streets of Vietnam. But I actually found that extremely affecting. So that really bothered me. It bothered me a lot as a person. But that was the only Vietnamese character, and that she was essentially like put in a refrigerator by the book. So it was not unrealistic, but it was still that like there she went, and she was there to kind of essentially make Paxton feel something. You know,
I hate it. So okay, flash forward again. Tony's missing. He's MIA. Paxton has gone back to the States.
Because she gave up on looking for him. Because
she's given up.
There's no more for her to look.
No. So she gets a job. She's hanging out in California for a little bit. She gets a job with the fucking New York Times.
She's the world's most amazing journalist.
She is. She goes to Paris for the fucking peace talks. Like,
she interviews what's his name from My Lai. I mean, like she has now Coffee. She's now interviewed all the important people.
Courtney
in the
has
war.
skimmed the last 20 pages of this.
You didn't miss anything. She went to talk to Tony's mom, little boy. Well, his mom doesn't speak she doesn't speak the English.
Well, she does a little bit, but
but not really.
But she becomes friends with the mom and the ex-wife, and then the little boy. She's
close to the little boy. And she continues to update him, and she's given this poor child false hope about his dad, who in real world is dead. Just blown into so many pieces they couldn't, but, you know.
It doesn't,
And of course, that's the thing about Vietnam is you never really knew.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think that's the thing is, like, again, we'll get into this, I guess, later, but, like, I feel like we all knew that, like, we're gonna fucking find Tony.
It's a romance novel. They always have, it's not a romance novel if it doesn't have a happily ever after. So you can't blame it for being a romance novel.
I was just, like, ready for it to be done because, again...
So she's always looking for Tony, and she, of course, then they start, this is like, you know, as the Paris Accords are going on, they start releasing these prisoners, and she interviews them all, and it's like she's interviewing for the New York Times, but she's like, okay, fuck the New York Times. Have you seen a little rat man?
Have you seen my squirrely boyfriend?
And so she starts to hear that, like, some people think that it might have been this guy who got captured. And then, like, later, some people think it might have been this guy who escaped, but they're sure he got shot.
I will say this does remind me a little bit, like, you know, there's, like, that portion of Unbroken where they talk about, like, just, like, the urban legends of, like, who was in this cell, you know, like, that.
That's legit, and, I mean, that's why people still hold on to hope.
I know, it's really...
You know, I mean, I guess probably not anymore, but when I was a kid, people still honestly believed that there were somewhere in the jungle
you know,
prisoners.
but I feel like it's the same thing as, like, if you have somebody in your, like, in your life that goes missing, and, like, you still hope, you know, like... Like,
give you some sort of... I've
been watching that, that other, like, when I'm not sucked into, you know, gay tennis realness, that Confessions of a Killer, what is his name? Hold on, I gotta find his fucking name. I think this is what, like, you know, where people just think...
Well, because if you don't ever have the closure...
Henry Lee Lucas. So, you know, where you don't have the closure, you're gonna just always wonder
and you'll cling on to it, like, okay, so this guy who, like, completely improbably says he killed, like, 8,000 people.
Yeah.
Well, gosh, maybe we should, let's
like
pay $1,000.
It's like the Henry Lee Lucas thing where it's like he was all like, I killed 600 people and blah 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 blah. Like, and it's just, it makes me, that made my shit, like, I was so mad at, like, the fucking white man confidence of, like, the Texas Rangers who are just like, we'll just play with people's fucking emotions and, like, be like, hey, this guy killed your family. Anyway, all right, I'm sorry. So, yeah, POW, she goes back to Saigon.
She goes for the fall of Saigon. She goes to tourist the fall of Saigon.
Yes.
Because Paxton fears no death. Because death has become Paxton. Quite frankly, death flees from Paxton.
Yeah.
When death sees Paxton
He's like, this bitch again. This bitch again. Jesus, here we go.
So, okay, literally, they're running for the fucking helicopter. Okay, and I mean, we've all seen this video footage of stuff that was like this. Somebody tries to hand her a baby. She's like, fuck your fucking baby. And she's like, baby. I'm looking for Tony. I'm looking for my little sewer rat. And then suddenly a little Vietnamese guy starts running next to her. And she's like, I smell sewer rat. And it's him. He's made all the way to Saigon.
There's no explanation of, like,
at this moment. Like, the only time she could have found him.
None of it made any kind of fucking sense because, like, what was he doing for all this time?
Walking. He got real lost. He's like nosed in the desert.
Because they were like, yeah, he escaped 2 years ago. Yeah. Like, what the fuck was he doing?
Like, you can't live off the land as a white man in Vietnam for that long. People will start to notice you.
Like,
maybe tell us, because, like, I'm sure that there's people who know a lot more about this than we do. Maybe there's an example. But no, it's just that we knew with a romance novel, you know there's going to be happily ever after. So they... Oh my god.
I hate it so much.
She's just like, fuck your fucking baby.
She did. She yelled at that bitch's baby. And then they get on the helicopter and then they get on the fucking ship.
And that's it.
And just go.
And
that's
scene.
That's the end
That's
of it.
it. That's the end of it.
Oh,
Sun sets into the South China Sea. That's it.
Oh my god. So we are going to take a break to listen to one of our awesome promos from one of our awesome podcasts.
We're going to have another fucking drink.
Yeah, and then we'll come back to unpack this fucking book. So,
I hope you brought your crowbar and your shovel.
Jesus. Jaws of life. Jaws of fucking life. God.
Hey there, I'm Alex.
And I'm Ryan.
And we are the host of
Suck My Fanfic, a weekly literary review of fan fiction.
Let's be real, guys. We all, whether it was once on a rainy night by ourselves or in a big group of friends, have all read fan fiction.
Or maybe over the shoulder of the person next to you on a bus.
Perhaps. It doesn't matter where, but we've all done it. We are here to cut through the smut and give every fan fiction their fair shake.
Because there's a lot of good creatives out there, and you might not know it. It might be the person sitting next to you right now.
Might be your best friend.
Your bank teller.
Could be you. Who knows?
Whoa.
Join us each week as we
tackle a new fandom,
talk about some stories,
and make a couple of jokes along the way.
You can find us on Fireside FM, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter. Thanks.
And we're back.
We're back. We're ready to tackle into these fucking questions.
I mean, I feel we dealt with a lot of them, but then, you know what you don't know about this book is that there's always more material to talk about than we've already embarked on. I know you feel that we talked about this book for a year already. No, there's a lot more book than that. There's so much more book than that.
All right. Question 1. Big dick energy or big dick energy?
Depends on which dick we talk about.
Okay, so again, I'm going to go into this because I married it. I love Tony because So what's hilarious to me is, again, I married an Irish Catholic boy from upstate New York. And he's very black Irish with the funniest joke. So I could tell y'all this because my dad doesn't listen to it. So we were talking one time because my dad's family is Irish, like Irish descent. Well, too, but we're like, my dad had like black hair, looked Italian, and we were talking about it, and I was like, so like, we're black Irish, and my dad was like, well, no, we're white.
Like he thought you might have been confused about this?
Yeah, it was really cute. I was like, no, that's not what it means. So my husband's family is like very, his brothers like have, one of his brothers, Dan, the number 1 round, so it's like reddishy hair. But Christopher honestly looks like kind of like the milkman's kid. He's very similar to his dad, but he's very, like, when I first met him, he had just come off like a summer of just like, being just a man of leisure, so he was like very, very fucking tan. I met him, he was wearing an NYFD t-shirt and this gold crucifix. And I was like, who is this?
Oh, boy, dirty New York.
And I was like, who is this Italian motherfucker? And then, like, he's, really, Irish New York. So, I love Tony because I have a soft spot for that.
I
love
believe
that. I love a mouthy New Yorker as,
the funny thing is, I think I conflated the two blonde dudes because I was trying to remember this book before I read it again, and I had not read it since I think I was even like 10 when I read this, okay? So, I think I conflated Peter and Bill because they were both a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, Bill, I guess, is brave because he goes in tunnels and shit. I mean, fuck, Paxton did that, but then Paxton feels no evil.
That's true.
But, yeah, so Tony has, like, all this personality, but he is absolutely that Daniel Steele guy who doubts your competence because he's right, and you had to prove him wrong.
I don't like that, though, but, like, for me, that worked because, like, Paxton, like, never had to prove herself to any fucking body. And, like, I was like, I like that he's, like, a dumb bitch. And, I don't know, like, again, that's my...
We should have gotten, well, we'll talk about this later, but, well, no, let's do it now. Would you talk shit with or about the heroine? My husband is a journalist, and I think that maybe we should have had him read it.
Oh, that'd be really
and
fun.
critique the journalism in this, because, okay, yes, it's not like she just, like, throws herself into journalism. She was doing high school papers. She interned at this paper. She interned, I mean, she put the work in. No, in college.
Being a fucking intern.
Then you go to Vietnam.
Again, there are amazing women that were doing this actual real fucking job.
They did their time.
But that's what I'm saying is, like, and I feel like this is a disservice to them because it's like, here's this beautiful blonde 22-year-old that drops out of Berkeley at the 11th hour and just decides on a whim that she wants to go to Vietnam, and because she's got a hookup, she can do it. There are amazing real people that did this shit. People that are braver than I can imagine. I can't even imagine what it would take to do this shit.
Did you know Morley Safer? Okay, I learned this from the Ken Burns Vietnam thing. Morley Safer. Okay, for you young people, Morley Safer is a fucking glacier that used to be on 60 Minutes. Okay, Morley Safer was older than God. And Morley Safer went to Vietnam. He's Canadian. And he went on CBS Nightly News. And he was like, okay, so I embedded myself in this patrol. And this is like when we had just got to Vietnam.
Yeah, but I mean, like, there's a reason that Morley Safer is Morley Safer. Like,
well, I didn't know that. I thought he was just like an old dude. But no, he was like, no, let me finish my story.
Okay.
He went on the CBS Nightly News and said, I embedded myself in this patrol. And what we did today, and I'm paraphrasing, but one part is definitely like on correct. He's like, so we burned down 4 villages. We wounded like 6 elderly people. We killed 1 baby, and what we got for it was these 4 elderly prisoners.
Yeah.
And the killed 1 baby is absolutely verbatim on CBS Nightly News. And Johnson called them that night and said, and this is also verbatim, "Are you trying to fuck me?" And that's Morley Safer. That's the guy who went to fucking Vietnam. And here's Paxi.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like it's really this.
She packed dresses.
It's so upsetting to me. Like, I have a really big problem with this book because, again, there's amazing women.
And there's a Canadian lady. I can't think of her name.
Kate Webb.
Yeah.
Like, there's people who did real fucking work, and...
I mean, it does talk about her growth as a journalist, but it never talks about her actually learning how to be a journalist.
Like, there's no fucking journalism in it. It's just like... No. And then this happened, and this happened, and this happened. I hate Paxton. She might be my least favorite person.
I hate her a lot.
I hate this character
and I remember loving her when I was a kid, because, well, she seemed very adult to me. But I can tell you that my husband has a very low opinion of anybody who goes to J school.
Yeah,
as somebody who I guess in the army, I guess, or whatever you call him, a Mustang. He's worked his way up without any kind of with a college degree, but no journalism training.
Right.
The way that people used to do it all the time.
Yeah.
Just getting a job at a newspaper and learning on the job. So I'm sure he would have fucking opinions about Paxton and her little red sandals. And even Ralph brings her combat boots. She doesn't even get her own combat boots.
I bought she was like, I have some Eddie Bauer boots.
Like the strongest ones I could find. Which it was her doing her best. But it meant that she had no business being there.
It's not her fucking doing her best because, like...
Her best would have been to get some fucking combat boots.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, fuck her. Fuck her.
It's not that hard. We did it back in the day, and we were dumb and stupid.
So, again, Team Tony hated Paxton.
Yeah, and really, the theme of this book, now reading it in the year 2020, is, like, the white exceptionalism.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's what I hate about her, because I loved her when I was 10, and it was 1990. It is now 2020.
Like, it's crazy to me that this is fucking 1990, and she's still writing the shit like she wrote in this book. So we have to, like, via our poll, we are back
our
to
truth.
Via our Patreon poll. We are back. We're throwing Virginia Woolf out the fucking window and Phyllis Schlafly too. We're back to Bechdel to bitch. So Bechdel to bitch ratio.
It's interesting because what I think is very interesting about these Danielle Steele books is you're right that she writes platonic friendships very well. And so the weird thing is, okay, so she's very good friends with Gabby, who is Peter's sister.
Gabby,
she grows away from her immediately. The second she goes to Vietnam, Gabby seems silly, but that doesn't seem unrealistic, frankly. Like, somebody who just wants to get married and have babies, and you've been in Vietnam, you can't really relate to them anymore. What I thought was more interesting, and this is not really the intention of Bechdel to bitch, but there are male friendships that she has.
Danielle Steele writes platonic male-female relationships better than she writes platonic female relationships. And often, I don't know if it's like, I feel like Danielle Steele might be one of those bitches that's like, I don't like women. Yeah.
All my friends are boys.
I feel like that's exactly what the fuck it is, so...
Stop. She's wearing those kind of slippers that have the sequins that go red versus green. And she keeps petting them one way or the other, and you can probably hear it.
I need it for this
She's
book.
Not massaging a porcupine.
No, I'm playing with my slippers.
Yeah, if you can hear that, that's what that is.
I'm very stressed about this book.
But, she writes platonic friendships actually really well. And one thing that I do like about this book is that not everybody who meets Paxton wants to fuck her.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, people see her as an adult, even when she completely does not deserve it.
No, she does not.
And they see her as a serious person, even when she also does not deserve it.
No, she does not.
So,
she deserves nothing. She deserves to be fucking... have
well,
her
don't worry. Everybody around her dies.
Okay, so...
When it comes to consent, is this book more Robin Thicke or Marvin Gaye?
There's not enough sex in this fucking book, and there's not...
There needs to be more fucking in this fucking book, right?
There's not. But, like, yeah...
There's no sexual danger in this book, which is refreshing because you would expect it, but on the other hand, it seems a little unrealistic.
Exactly.
Like you would think that, planes full of soldiers would say things to her.
Yeah, like, hey, nice tits.
Yeah.
Like, dude, so, I had to tell you, it was wild. So, when we went to... Me and my friend Truth. Hey, Truth. We went on the...
Patreon subscriber,
Patreon Truth. We went on the fact-finding. Like, we went on the hunt for hot ass to take pictures of at the Highland Games.
If you're on Twitter, you saw some of the
picture. So, while we were there, I think it was just so wild because, like, it's been so long since this shit has happened to me. There was a guy, his dog was in a tartan, like a little thing in it, but it was a service dog. And I was like, can I take a picture of your dog? Will that be it? And he was like, oh yeah, that's fine. So I like knelt down and he's like, the dog poses. And I was like, whatever. And then like the dog started wagging his tail. And like, I took a picture of the dog and he's like, yeah, he's wagging his tail because you bent over. And I was like,
what?
And I was like, this has been so long.
I don't know how to parse this.
This does not compute. Like,
a puff of dust came up.
Yeah. And I was like, did I just get sexually harassed a little bit? Like, and I was like,
I'm not sure.
I was like, wait a minute.
It's like in one of those post-apocalyptic books where the system comes alive.
Yeah, I was
like the lights and the dust, and it goes beep, 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 beep.
It was like, it's been so long that I've been like, I mean, again, but you know what? It's been a long time since, like, that I've been, like, out with not my husband there.
You've been unchaperoned? You've been out without your owner?
Yeah, my owner was not there.
Yeah.
And, like, part of me's like, damn it, I still wish I had, like, my cat-like reflexes from, like, my 20s to be like, we gonna square up? We gonna talk about this? But I was just like, what? And then we walk away.
Yeah. And I never had that many, like, I mean, not that I've never been sexually harassed, which I don't think there's a woman alive.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're, maybe you've never heard anybody say anything gross to you because you actually are hard of hearing, and you just weren't around where, like, turning around where you could read their lips, because otherwise every woman has had something said about or to them. But yeah, I never really got a lot of that. I think it'd be more like, well, that's a weird one. Well, would you look at that?
I just, like, took the dog's picture and
Did it just fall down?
scurried off. I just scurried off. I did a scurry. I was like, what? Yeah. So.
Yeah, well, and that is what I generally did whenever that kind of thing happened. Well, I did have, and I mean, like, I used to work retail, and so you just kind of, like, delete from your memory banks anything that anybody says to you when you work retail. But there was a situation once where I was, and this is what I often say if people ask me for my Me Too thing, because men don't believe that this happens as casually. So I used to work at Suncoast, which was like the video store back when you used to buy DVDs. And instead of only, like, not really own things that you've paid a subscription to. And the way that we would put out stuff on Tuesdays is, like, these giant boxes, like these, like at the bottom of them, you would have to literally almost get into them, so you'd be bent like double at the waist to get the ones out of the bottom. And the way that they used to staff stores like that, you would often be by yourself when somebody was also on a lunch break. So I'm stocking the store, and I'm bent over, like, half trying to scrounge these things out of the bottom. And a dude comes out of nowhere, and of course, like, my shirt has ridden up, so you could see my tramp stamp.
Oh, no.
See, I do have a tramp stamp. It's true. And he touches my back on my fucking naked tramp stamp and says, "Hey, shawty." And then, if anybody who ever worked in videos, you'll have a flashback right now. What he also says is, "Y'all got Scarface on DVD?"
That's amazing.
Because for a long time, Scarface was not. It was out of print on DVD. And y'all got Scarface on DVD, and y'all got Indiana Jones. Was like, I have nightmares still about that. But yeah, so this dude felt very free to walk up from behind me and put his hand on the naked part of my back and say, "Hey, shawty." And then what he actually just wanted to know is, do we have Scarface on DVD? Like, he wasn't even interested in my butt.
Dude,
which, quite frankly, was not, I'm not sure if he would have noticed my butt. It's kind of more of a, like, my leg start.
I have so many, like...
Y'all are imagining, like, a child's drawing of a horse when I talk about myself, aren't you? Like, it's got 18 legs.
I have so many, like...
I've never been catcalled, like, from a car or anything. I've never had that.
I've had, like...
I'm sorry, I got way the fuck off. Yeah, but in terms of consent, the Danielle Steele books are very interesting because women, I mean...
Oh, yes.
I can't think of a counterexample. They have sex when they want to.
Yeah, but, like, I remember what brought this up was, like, nobody was catcalling her. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody was catcalling her. Nobody was like,
Yeah.
You love me long time. Yeah.
You can name this one. Those are nice. These are nice. Okay.
These are nice. These are nice. We should rename that. These are nice.
All right. How badly are you judging her mama for reading this book?
In 1990, no. In 2020,
well,
yes.
I mean, I'm judging myself for reading it too. So I mean, I get it. Like, this was a big fucking book. Everybody loved the shit out of it.
It's like one of those lazy war movies. Though.
Yeah, I hate it.
That's what it's like. That's exactly what it's like, and. Well, which leads into what Scarlett Johansson be in the movie.
Absolutely fucking yeah, she is Paxton. Like, she be in this shit, like...
Everybody loves me, right?
I'm the best.
What I think is very... Okay, so this book it's like, oh gosh, you have to wrestle with it, because parts of it, like when she talks about the smell of gasoline in Saigon, and it feels very vital and very...
Yeah.
Yeah, like, it's a very you are there thing, and it works real well. I mean, like, I understand why I liked it when I was a kid.
Again.
She's done her research. It's just that she hasn't done any research about checking her fucking privilege.
The bitch researches the shit out of facts, but, like, again...
The heart isn't there. The heart is in the wrong place.
Like I have said, and I feel like, too, I'm kind of torn, because... Like we were talking about, like, there's a lot of really terrible fucking shit, like, where, like, like, own voices, like, that hashtag is really important right now, and, like, with that American Dirt, and, like, I was talking about the fucking Katrina aftermath bullshit, like, seeing people that I admire, and, like, seeing these authors that I respect the shit out of, like, actually hurting about this. Like, I don't want to be beating a dead horse, so to speak. Like, but this book is really fucking insulting.
I feel that it's more dangerous because it thinks it's woke.
Yes, exactly. Like,
if this book were, I mean, like, let's ignore the mammy stuff and the U.S. racial stuff.
I can't even, but
let's just move to the Vietnam stuff.
You can't ignore it, though.
I mean, I'm not ignoring that. I'm just saying, like, let's just look at the Vietnam stuff. If Paxton were saying the word gook, I frankly think that it would be a better book and more instructive, like, because then you could look at her and say, that's a bad person.
You know what? But, like,
that's a racist.
That should, like, the Army guys use an Army terminology that they realistically probably would have used. Doesn't bother me as much as, like...
Because the book knows that nice people don't say gook. What the book doesn't know is that nice people would also know the name of a Vietnamese person.
Yeah, or that nice people all... I don't know.
Would shut up and fucking listen to Yvonne. I mean, like, that's the thing.
That was the thing. Is like, she was like, I have to... The way that the characters of... Like I said, like, within 50 pages, I had written this book off with, like, the treatment of... Queenie, which I hate saying. I hate saying Queenie.
Let's just say that's not her name. She might have loved that name. I don't know.
What?
But she might have loved that name. I mean, I'm just saying.
No,
that,
but I think.
Then you'll still pick that name, what
I'm saying is, like, you basically picked. You watched Gone with the Wind, and you basically, because isn't Queenie the name of the?
No, that's
Well, I mean, Hattie McDaniel's character is Mammy, but what's
Prissy?
Prissy. But you basically picked one of these fucking names.
It's a slave name.
You've picked a slave name. You, like, every time that she describes...
It's the help.
Whenever she describes this character, it's how fat she is. How of a hulking, stalwart thing she is. Like,
food. It's about food a lot.
You're describing...
She makes great biscuits.
I don't... You know, but again, it's like you are talking about a black woman's body.
Yeah.
And honestly, again, this book really makes me dislike Danielle Steele because of how she handled this.
It also uses that animal language. Like, it uses the word purring.
Yes, the purring, like...
I think it probably also uses an animal word about
exotic,
Yvonne, but
that
I don't
she's
remember.
like, yeah, but, you know, Yvonne is exotic. And, like, basically, like, when she describes Yvonne, like, she
just has a fucking afro. Okay, that's what's exotic about Yvonne.
She uses everything but, like, high yellow to describe Yvonne. And, you know, she's angry and she's... I just got so upset and mad about this that, you know, I just, fucking white women, just stop it.
I made the joke, and it's not a joke, but it is a joke, about, like, this being the white moderate that Dr. King warned us about.
Yes. I mean,
that's exactly what he was talking about. That these are the people, the Paxtons of the world, are like, oh, well, you should wait till a better time.
Well, it's just, I think what bothers me about this is, like...
It's my story. Don't mess up my story by being mad at me.
Everything is, like, trying to be well fucking meaning, but, like, you can't be well meaning, and you can't be... Like, again, I don't need some privileged white asshole explaining what civil rights is to somebody who is a black woman in Alabama. You know, like, talking, like, you know, when letters from a jailhouse in Montgomery are being written, like, fuck. And I'm sorry, in 1990, Danielle Steele should have had a little bit of self-awareness about this. This was highly insulting. It was gross. And
I think we're overestimating 1990.
No,
I mean, yeah, I would like her to have had more.
1990, 1989, like, you got to think about the shit that's coming out, and you got to do the right thing. You've got a lot of things that are really progressive and amazing happening. Mm-hmm. This is fucking bullshit.
Oh, yeah, it's absolutely... I am definitely not arguing with you that it's bullshit. It is completely bullshit.
I mean, I'm not, like,
I just think that this is what woke look like. And by woke, I don't mean truly awake. I mean, what well-intentioned white people.
This is
you're in the vein of older, well-intentioned white people. This is what it feels like.
This is a Karen book, and I hate it. So,
but Karen thinks that she is so good.
This is a racist ass book.
Yeah, it's fucking
racist.
Because what makes it? I mean, the well-intentionedness makes it poison.
It's terrible. Honestly,
I would rather read a book that just you know
what, and I know this is gonna be like a hot fucking argument, but
let's have it.
I'd rather deal with a Kathleen Woodiwiss bullshit thing of how she dealt with race in 1974.
Although I don't know, I think that was actually the missing link, the previous form of this, because what Kathleen Woodiwiss did is just pretend like it didn't happen at all.
I just feel like this is so fucking condescending and pandering that it would I would rather have somebody be like, I don't know how to deal with it, so I'm just gonna be throw my hands up.
Yeah, and she doesn't have to be from Savannah. Yeah. That's the thing. She could have been
anywhere. I was but I'm gonna put race in it.
Well, and I think maybe what she was thinking, to be charitable, which I shouldn't be, but if she was I can't just act like it wasn't happening.
Right. I mean,
so she did not deal with it well, but
be hey man, I don't know a lot about it, so I'm not gonna say a lot. Be I was confused. Things were, I don't know. At least put a little bit of fucking your own ignorance in there and say,
because Paxi has Paxi does not have a self-awareness ever.
Paxi is an expert on it all. Paxi is gonna tell you about the black experience, and I fucking hate her for it. Okay.
Yeah. Paxi sucks.
So you're not leaving this house looking like this. Her red sandals.
Oh my god, yeah, because she brought some dresses to wear in Saigon for when you go out on dates. So you have the soldiers who are they're not stationed in Saigon. They just come and take you out on dates all the time.
So, I mean, she had jeans and t-shirts and shit, but she was in ridiculous clothes.
I mean, she eventually ended up in fatigues and stuff, but yeah, I kept trying to imagine her, because what's funny is I think this might be a flaw in the book. That's just the kind of book that this is. I kept trying to imagine Paxi as being a 60s girl, with the center-parted hair. She had very long blonde hair.
Yeah.
And, the ironed hair. But I just kept seeing her as Kelly Taylor for 90210.
She was so 80s. Yeah, somehow she was
early
still
90s,
so fucking 80s.
You could feel it. It just kind of came out of the thing. I wrote the words Full Metal Jacket, and because I think it's interesting to talk about, and Courtney's oh great, so it's going to talk about.
That's fun.
No, I'm going to do a thing on the website about war literature, because we talked about that a little bit earlier. I made the mistake of watching Full Metal Jacket as an adult, and I'd never seen it as a teenager. And that is like Flowers in the Attic and Catcher in the Rye, is that you need to see it as a teenager, because an adult, what you realize is, A, the only good part of the movie is the first third at boot camp, and B, oh my god, Arlie Ermy is busting his ass trying to save these kids' lives.
I have a thing about. I don't know if we've discussed it on this podcast. I honestly don't know.
I'll put this fucking bottle of wine. Let's do it.
About my I do not enjoy Stanley Kubrick.
I don't either. I don't like him, and I find him cold.
I fucking hate him, and I think he hates women.
You were fidgeting with that fucking corkscrew for an hour.
I hate him so much. I think he hates women.
I agree.
So
I think he hates actual specific women, and some of them are Shelley Duvall.
Oh god, he fucking hates the shit out of her. But the point is I don't again, the first whatever of that movie is great, with the drill sergeant and Vincent D'Onofrio freaking the fuck out, that's great. I don't give a shit about the rest of it.
No, because it's all bullshit.
Again, Platoon is the better war movie to me.
The Deer Hunter is my war movie, but okay.
Yeah, but I'm just saying I have a few that I'm well, I enjoyed this. This is good. Blah 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 blah. But Full Metal Jacket is not in my lexicon.
Well, I think that you have to watch it when you're young, because if you watch it when you're an adult, what you realize is that the drill sergeant is not your enemy. The drill sergeant is probably a guy from maybe thinking about the years. Is he from Korea?
Well, what's wild about that guy is that guy was a drill sergeant who just made a career doing this.
I always liked him, Arlie Ermy. Mm-hmm. But I mean, the thing is, here's a guy who is trying to figure out. He's got only a couple weeks, because
I never felt like the drill sergeant was ever the bad guy.
Well, he was if you were 18. The thing
I don't
is,
know. Like, I always thought
he's supposed to be like an agent of the oppression and this is the guy who individually, he has, and this is a very, like, it's an abbreviated training cycle. Like, they get more time now.
Yeah.
Because we're not, well, who knows? Are we at war? I don't know. We've been at war forever. But this is a guy who, he knows he only has a couple weeks to maybe get these kids to not fucking die in their first 5 fucking days, Peter, in Vietnam. And he's being hard on them because he's trying to save their lives, and they don't appreciate it. No, he's definitely the villain of the first part of the movie. Also, what's hilarious...
Like, I don't know. Like, to me, again, I felt like he was like... I always, like... enjoy. I don't know.
Because you also watched it as an adult instead of like the prepubescent who really loves that movie.
I think the one that you also have to like.
You had to love that movie as a child almost. Sorry, y'all.
I feel like again, you know, you had fucking like there are like for all the ones that are like not the greatest ones, like you have like Born on the 4th of July, which is a great fucking movie because like again it deals with the aftermath of like coming home, which is what she's trying to do, and like she keeps talking about like why are we here, like sometimes you don't have to say it, Danielle. Yeah. Sometimes like the
show don't tell, Danielle.
The implication.
Yeah.
Like, so...
I think we all figured out when your fiancé died meaninglessly, a friendly fire 5 days into being there, that there's no fucking reason for to be there.
Like, so you
also,
like,
because we're Americans and it's 1990, we know that Vietnam was a fucking mistake. I mean, I think
it is this weird thing where you have these, like, this terrible war has made a dearth of amazing movies. Like you said, like The Deer Hunter. There's, you know, Apocalypse Now. Like
there's a lot of movies, but they're not all truly, like, intelligently great movies. But I think that people love them more than they...
I don't know. I mean, like, fucking Apocalypse Now is kind of...
It is a great movie. I don't love it. I know
you don't have to love it. Like, that's the thing.
I'm not saying I had to love it. I'm just saying
but like, you know, there's some that, I don't know. Like, anyway.
I'm just saying that it tends to be that books... are not this book, don't get me wrong, that books can approach war in a way that is more clear-eyed than movies can, and that the American public will not accept a movie for a long time you know, after the war, until it's been like a good 50, 60, 70 years, that is as complex as what a movie will what a book will show you.
Yeah, but I mean, this is not that.
Also, Tim O'Brien, like, I thought that I was cool.
There you go.
Of course he did. I think I'm cool.
You're something. You're something. All right, what question are we on?
I don't even know anymore. I'm like, I think that we have lost our fucking minds on this one.
No, we haven't. So we did there is not enough horniness in this fucking book.
That's the thing. I remember, okay, the funny thing is, so I remember this book, I picked it partly
the question is, I'm sorry, y'all, like, would your 12-year-old self have dog-eared any pages?
No, I actually did dog-ear pages. I remember this book as being sexy as shit.
There is no,
I think it was more like maybe the peril. Because, no, it's clear that they are having sex. Yeah. And, I mean, she and Peter discuss it very intelligently, very adultly, and, like, whether they should have sex, what do you think about it?
About it.
Yes, it's a sweet scene and everything, except that Peter's a piece of shit. I mean, he's not a piece of shit. He's just boring.
She has good sex with Tony.
Well, but it doesn't really.
But it's, like, still at the same time, like,
it's very vague.
Oh, God.
I think that she feels that this book is supposed to be her serious book. And so she can't make it dirty.
But this book, like, got panned hard. Like, people were like, she's all over the place. This is some nonsense. And it was.
Yeah, they were right. I mean, so I would like to contrast it with, for example, Morning Glory, which was, okay, about a different war. Seems much more remote now. But
oh, my God. Like, this book.
The doing it in that book was hot as shit.
But also the war, like, the aspects of war in Morning Glory was so much more
the stakes felt more real.
Well, like, it was just more authentic. Like, this was just, like, so, like, I feel like in Morning Glory, because, again, you know how I feel about crackers. I feel like the stakes in Morning Glory were much more authentic and real. Like, this was just a rich white bitch playing at war.
The letters that were written back, and of course, to know what we're really talking about, you had to go listen to our Morning Glory episode.
Morning Glory, yeah.
But there's a hunk of Morning Glory where the guy goes, he goes off to war. He goes to Guadalcanal. It's World War II, and it's just letters. And what you don't see, there's giant omissions in the letters, and that's where the story is.
This book was so, like this. Morning Glory was so much better than this book.
Well, for one thing, Morning Glory had more trust in you because this book felt like it had to be like, and then I went to this, and then I went to this.
Oh my god, this is just like, I mean, again,
Morning Glory is like, you know what the fuck happened in World War II?
This is like fucking, this was
Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump, but worse. So.
If Forrest Gump were a blonde lady, but not like a blonde lady who would ever have, like, for example, gotten AIDS or, you know, like done anything interesting.
Well, you know, the Jenny gets fucking AIDS, and
well, they say it's hepatitis, but whatever.
Bitch got AIDS. All right, I have a lot of Jenny issues, but anyway. So what pairs nicely with a dumpster fire? Like, can it just be a Molotov cocktail? Like, can we just fucking say that and like let it all burn the fuck out? I hated this.
I wrestled with this harder than Courtney did because it's easier to hate a thing than it is to like try to figure out why you liked it.
I mean, I could again. I can understand enjoying this if I was 11.
For one thing, I hadn't gotten to see most of those great Vietnam movies.
Yeah, like
because they were all way too grown for me.
Reading this as an adult, this is, and again,
I agree with all of your issues.
After reading Palomino, which had this really kind of hyper confident like character that like not only was just like, hey, here I am, I'm good at stuff. Like, let me show you. And then like when I get too confident, I have real world consequences, but you know what? I'm gonna get over that shit too, and like just make my way and keep plugging and trucking and just like being this character that you root for. Paxton is fucking terrible.
Yeah. She is a Forrest Gump character. And the thing is, okay, I went to talk about this in that, the question about would you talk shit with her about the hair. I would not touch her because I was afraid I would die in Vietnam,
oh my gosh, she's such
a country I've never been to.
I hate her so much. I hate her so much.
I feel that maybe this is the unwanted other side of the Danielle Steele Mary Sue.
Yes,
because we like the Danielle Steele, this hyper competent, extremely fashionable, real job having, fuck you, doesn't need you. If she wants to marry you, well, guess what? Then, like, she made a mistake and all this, like, lady. The backside of that is what you end up, I mean, this is almost like an object lesson in this idea of a person. It's like, oh, shit. This lady's a fucking nightmare. She's just like flitting through Vietnam and leaving her like bodies in her wake.
I just the way
she's so confident in a bad way. She's confident in a I can never learn from somebody.
She's confident in a white lady way.
Yeah,
is what she is. She's confident in this. Like, I don't need. You know what? Like, I've had 2 civics courses, so I don't need you to explain to me your experience because I'm going to tell you your experience.
And let's point out, this is somebody who could have marched with Dr. King but never did. I mean, like, we never got the chance, but she could have done it.
Peter, you know. Like, her fiance, like, Peter, the dead one, like, went and, like...
Oh, the one dead one?
The one dead one. The first dead one, like, went and, like, volunteered and shit. But also, like, I feel like it's... I don't know. Like, I feel like there's, like, it's very easy to be like, I'm on your side. And, like, you think about, like, the Freedom Riders, and you think about the white Freedom Riders that lost their lives, that, like, did real world shit.
Yeah, they put their asses on the line.
And, like, I mean, like, they paid the ultimate sacrifice.
And Paxi did not do that.
I hate her. Like, I viscerally hate this character.
If Paxi had been in Mississippi as the Klan was like rocking the bus saying, okay, don't be fucking mad at me, like, that'd be one thing, like, but she never put her ass on the line for the racial justice cause.
I hate her so much, and I hate it goes,
she thought she deserved that from Yvonne just by existing.
She just thought, like, because I'm telling you that I'm on your side and you're,
why should you trust me?
You know, it's the same thing of, like, basically asking Yvonne, like, I need you to put more... You need to put more emotional labor forth on, like, your caring of me than I'm going to put on you. Is what you're saying. Like, for somebody, like, it's like when you ask somebody, like, oh, I need you to tell me how to be a better, like, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, fuck you. Like, stop asking your... you know, people of color friends, like, whatever, like, stop asking them for, like, oh, I need help with this, like, no, like, go and look it up, like, I can't, like, stop asking people of color for free emotional labor.
Yeah.
You know, like, stop.
What the fuck was Yvonne supposed to say at that point?
Stop saying we need you to do more. Like, I'm so, like, it's so upsetting.
Like, what could Yvonne have said at that point besides, oh, you're right?
You know what? Being like, hey, please tell me about your experience.
You have not earned this at all, Paxi.
Like, but that is, like, what is, like, the one thing about Pax, this character, is, like, she thinks by just merely existing and because she's, like, votes a certain way that she earns it. And that's again, like, when we got to that part of the book and we got to her, like, dealing with this, that's when I was like, I'm fucking done with this because I hate this character. I hate this certain type of character.
And frankly, I guess I'm glad that it did include the United States racial stuff because it was like a sort of a macrocosm of what was going on with the Vietnam stuff. Which the reason not that it's not obvious what's going on with the Vietnam stuff, but it is we're more accustomed to seeing this particular kind of like the Vietnam story is the American story stuff. So it might not have been as clear had we not already been put on fucking high alert.
I don't know.
Isn't that what Dr. King marched for? Not for you, fucking Paxi. He did not march for you.
Yeah, Again, I feel like this book really, again, like I was saying, like, seeing what people are going through with the American Dirt situation, and, like I said, like, all these things, like, I'm fucking done with it, and it is interesting to, like, when we started doing this podcast a year ago, before I got involved so much with, like, I mean, you know, I've always felt like, hey, I've sort of got, like, a finger on the pulse, but, like, being in charge of our social media is kind of this amazing privilege that I have, because I'm on there and I see every single day, like, the real world ramifications of what people of color are dealing with like RWA and like all these other things, and like it just has opened my eyes up so much more from what, you know, like I don't know, like, you know, that's the only thing you can do as, like, especially being a nice white lady,
you can fucking listen.
Yeah, is like, you know, like, just look at it and look at it from a perspective that maybe if we had done this book a year ago, I don't know.
Oh, I think when we got to the mammy, I think
yes, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Like, it is interesting to watch the podcast, like, evolve and stuff. Like,
what I've learned most over the past maybe, since 2016, obviously, many of these things have not been a surprise to me, but I think I was not as aware of the damaging potential of white tears.
Oh my God.
And this book is all about white tears.
Well, that is the best, like I have, like, you know, again, you know, I work at a small HBCU, and, like, I work with these amazing, smart as hell women of color, and it's, like, one of the, like, we have this joke about, you know, like, if we could bottle my tears, you know, like,
we could use them whenever we wanted to.
Like,
we could weaponize them.
So, like, I count myself very fortunate, like, to work where I work, and that I get this really hard, I don't know, like, I'm not saying that, like, I'm more whatever than other people, but, like, you know, my job is amazing in this
I think that we all honestly deserve and do not get an opportunity. We who have grown up with all this privilege, I'm sorry, I said we, meaning everybody, but me and you, we all deserve an opportunity to be minorities, to either, like, to study abroad in a place that white people, or, like, to work in a place, and I've actually never had that experience long term. It was funny when I was on this is a tiny experience, a tiny itty bitty little grain, being on a women's subway car in Mexico City. I've never been so tall and so white, and it was, people were, like, the whole entire car was staring at me, and it was the strangest experience to me because I had never been the only one of something. I kind of love,
like, I honestly don't know, and I'm, like, I don't think I could ever go to, like, a PWI, like, I don't think I could go to a predominantly white institute, because, like, I love the shit out of what I do, and, like, I love being able to just know how to listen. And I think that's the best thing about my job is, like, it has, like I said, it has afforded me the privilege of learning how to shut the fuck up.
You know what? Let me express what my privilege just did right now. I did not know that there was an acronym for just everywhere else.
Yeah, it's like, but that's the thing is, like, I know now, like, to, like, put that in because a lot of people don't know, you know?
No,
like,
I did not, and I would have not, it would have taken me a minute to come up with that acronym. I did not know that was an acronym.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
thank you for your
go support
your wisdom, Courtney.
My sign off for this thing is go support your local HBCUs, because in addition to having, obviously, you know, African American and Black students, you're going to have a lot of other students of color, and HBCUs are producing the most in, like, STEM doctorates and STEM, you know, masters, so support them.
Yeah, and it would be to your benefit to go just be somewhere where you're not if you're white. If you are not white, you are very familiar with this feeling, so please ignore that recommendation. You can just check that off your checklist
if you're
already.
White, though, go.
If you're white, you should go somewhere else. Yes.
Yeah. It's. I don't know. I think it's the best educational experience you can have, and like I said, it teaches you the most important skill you're going to have as a white person, which is shut up and listen.
Yes. All right, shut up, bitches. And we will see you on our next 4 for 40, which I hope we were all like better, but I don't know yet because we haven't read
it yet.
Oh my God. Anything could happen.
Be sure to check us out, though, on our Twitter, with B Tipplers, and then Instagram, Bodice Tipplers, Facebook, Bodice Tipplers. Send us an email, bodicetipplers@gmail.com.
Somebody did.
I know you got, Sarah. Y'all.
Somebody encouraged my boat talk.
Somebody loves Sarah's boat talk. So
I love you, Elaine.
It's all over.
You're the best.
All over. We're not going to hear nothing but boats from
She says I should do, you can't do that on a blank. As in, like, you can't do that on a Vietnam War. Or,
oh my God.
You can't do that on a horsey.
We also have to thank we've got a lot of really cool things that we'll add on and put on our next episode, our Patreons.
Oh, yeah. Just so that you know, we've got a lot of Patreon shout-outs coming out, but any of you who have subscribed will be able to watch us after going through this fucking book, being this keyed up and having drunk this much red wine.
We're going to play a Babysitters Club game.
Babysitters Club game. You can give any amount of money and get exclusive access to that episode. It's going to be fucked up because we are all keyed up about our white privilege and confused, and we're going to have to let it out somewhere.
I'm a mixture of a Christy and a Stacy.
Honestly, I am also
You're so Christy now.
No, I'm not. I've never sported in my life on purpose.
But she's like decisive. She's like very leader.
I'm decisive?
You are like you're now.
No, I'm just intense. That's not decisive. I'm just like anxiety ridden. That's not the same thing as decisive.
When I was growing up, I was like my favorites. When I was growing up, I loved the shit. I love Christy and I love Dawn.
I just wanted to be Claudia, but I knew I would never be Claudia.
Everybody wanted to be fucking Claudia.
I know, so you can't pick Claudia.
Yeah, no Claudias. Tell us who you are on all of our social media, or send us an email.
Yeah, we're gonna have to stop this fucking podcast.
Yes.
All right. Peace out. Oh. Peace out.
Bodice Tipplers is part of the Frolic Network. Find more podcasts you'll love at frolic.media/podcast.